What's up, everybody? This video is going to be about kratom, coffee, and adrenal fatigue. I was chatting with somebody in my comments over this past week about their experience with kratom and coffee and how it's affected them during their recovery process. And I went through something similar. I thought it would be a good idea to share this with everybody because you guys might experience it as well. I'm on my morning walk with Peanut here. It's super cold in Chicago today. There's Peanut. Where are you, Peanut? There's Peanut. So this is just going to be a quick video. If you hear the wind, sorry. It's pretty windy out as well. So I've always been a coffee lover. I love the taste of it ever since I was little. I really didn't get into actually drinking it regularly until probably maybe 15 years ago. I'm almost 40 years old, and I, throughout my 20s, always drank a lot of coffee. And during my kratom addiction, I also drank a lot of coffee. Sorry, the train's going by above me if you hear it. So I went my whole kratom addiction, which was 3 years, drinking coffee the whole time. Woo, that wind is strong. Just blew my hood up. And it was at the end when I was in my recovery process after my addiction that I noticed that there was a big difference in how my body processed coffee. It may have been going on, excuse me, during my addiction, but I wouldn't have known because I think that the kratom was taking center stage to all of that with how I was feeling and just the whole recovery process from kratom and all of that. So I started noticing that, especially after I quit kratom, that I would have a really bad reaction to caffeine. And I continued drinking it for about, let me think about this. I quit kratom in February, and I quit coffee in, let me think about this, May, I think. I need to look at my journals. So there were a few months where I continued to drink coffee. And I noticed during this time that I would have a very bad reaction to it. Meaning I would start getting a very hardcore panicky feeling. I would start sweating. There was literally this complete physical and mental and emotional reaction to it that I hadn't experienced before. And I mean, when I would drink too much coffee at different moments, I might get a little jittery, but it was nothing like this. And so as I was chatting with this person this past week about what their experience was, and they were also sharing how much they loved coffee and how they weren't able to drink it anymore either while in kratom recovery, they asked me do you think that we'll ever be able to drink coffee again without it having this sort of effect on us? And I shared that in my experience, because I quit drinking coffee, and as that unfolded, I started to see so many benefits from it that at this point, I don't think I could ever go back to being a regular coffee drinker. I don't know if my body is just going to be forever changed from this. But the benefits that I found at this point are just so far outweighing anything that coffee ever gave me. Don't get me wrong, I loved that dopamine boost. I loved the taste of coffee. I loved that, like, knowing that when you wake up, no matter how tired you are, that you like have it to look forward to. So there were definitely things about it that were enticing for me. But the thing is that the benefits, meaning like just my sustained energy now, my calmer, more even keel, just baseline is something that I really love. I love the way that I think and the way that I communicate without coffee, because I've realized that like the coffee really, like, because I drank it for so long, it was such a part of my life, like it really was like affecting my personality, where like I just, I was always wired basically on it. And I would often, which was a really bad thing with coffee with me, I would often end up like drinking a cup of coffee or two in the morning, and then I would end up skipping breakfast. And so, quitting the coffee and being able to eat on a regular schedule again, like eat a good breakfast and having that be my fuel instead of, relying on this caffeine, has just been such a night and day experience, like with everything in my life. I went back to work recently, which I've shared with you guys, and this will be the first job that I've done, and I mean, I don't even know how long that I haven't been caffeinated for it, and I was a little apprehensive, and it's just been so awesome. So the benefits that I've received from this have been so great. And so I just wanted to share these thoughts with you. I don't know if anybody else is going to end up experiencing this in their process, but for me, it was such a good thing to be able to see like the difference in myself, and with relationship to the whole adrenal system and all of that, and adrenal fatigue. That's something that's still being studied. Some medical professionals don't look at adrenal fatigue as something that's valid. Come here, Peanut. So it all, is kind of based on, whatever medical professional is how they look at adrenal fatigue. And basically the way to explain it is that, when we are drinking coffee, when we are under stress, come on, Peanut, we are creating adrenaline, and we are creating cortisol, which is another stress hormone. And these neurochemicals are released in our bodies to be able to help us like rise up, and like, it's a very primal thing, like the whole like fight, flight, or flee thing, that our bodies are naturally wired how to do. And things like coffee, other stimulants will evoke, this neurochemical response in our body. And so when we are constantly consuming coffee, things like lifestyle stuff, being under constant stress, that can also be that way. So when we are consuming caffeine or other stimulants constantly, what's going on is we are constantly creating these neurochemicals in our body that are from, like a stress response. So these systems in our body get burnt out. And, they say it all the time that like stress is a major contributing factor to health issues. And stress literally does kill. And so what happens when we drink coffee constantly is it's constantly putting our bodies under stress. And in relationship to kratom, we're still not sure what the deal is, like how kratom works in our bodies, like what it's doing to all these different systems. But anybody that's been on kratom and in kratom addiction knows that it's putting stress on our bodies. So we're not really sure how, come on Peanut, come on, let's go. We're not really sure how exactly it's affecting the adrenals, but it's doing something. And so when I spoke to this person about their experience with kratom and coffee and adrenal fatigue, and them wondering if they would ever be able to drink coffee again without it having this like gnarly response in their bodies, it definitely made me start thinking more about like how many other people are experiencing this. And it's a bummer, man. We quit kratom, and like for a lot of us, coffee is like one of those simple joys that is... What are you doing, Peanut? Where are we? Come on. Come on, Peanut. It's one of those simple joys where like, we give up kratom, we give up these other things, and some of us are coming off of harder drugs and stuff, and like, just to be able to enjoy a cup of coffee is like something that, it really sucks that some of us are not able to do after our kratom addictions. So I wanted to just share my experience with this, because if you're going through the same thing, you're not alone in it. And I recommended to this person this book that I read that was like super enlightening. Hey, come here, don't go over there. And I encourage other people to read it too, because I love coffee and there's a part of me that really misses it. Hang on, let me put Peanut on our leash. There's some dogs around. Come here, Peanut. Come here, let me see. Come here. All right, you want to keep walking? Come on. But when I read this book, like it really enlightened me a lot about like different aspects of coffee that I never considered, because it's such, just like other things in our culture, it's such a big part of our culture. Like there's Starbucks on every corner. There's it's everywhere. It's just like a part of like a lot of people's morning routines. And what this book helped me to realize, which it's called Caffeine Blues. I'm not sure who wrote it, but if you just look up that name, you'll be able to find it. And it basically like goes into like so many aspects of like what the deal is with caffeine, and that it's often overlooked that this is like, a psychoactive, addictive substance. And it changes the way that our brains work. It changes the way that our bodies work. And, a lot of us, when we first started hearing about kratom, heard that it was no more addictive than coffee. And, at first that for me was like, oh, whatever, I love coffee. It's like not, then that's means it's not dangerous. And as I really got into this process and like learned more about like coffee and like what the deal is with it, also like a plant, a substance from a plant, I realized that like, what, maybe that isn't too far fetched of a claim that it's no more addictive than coffee, because that's the thing too, is that coffee is addictive. And when I got off of it, I'll tell you, it was rough, man. And there was a huge like recalibration and rewiring that had to go on for that, just like there was with kratom. So in Caffeine Blues, it really breaks down like a lot of aspects of you know, what caffeine is as a substance and like how it affects our bodies. And that, you know, the studies that are done, Peanut, I'm not sure where you're trying to go right now, but we're not going there. Come on, let's go. The studies that are done on coffee, you know, like that says that it's like healthy and that like, you know, if you drink a certain amount, like if you drink this amount, like it's like completely harmless. They really break down those studies because, as with a lot of other medical and scientific studies, a lot of times these studies are very biased. So it goes into all of that too. So yeah, just to wrap things up about everything that we've just discussed, if you are in kratom recovery and you are starting to see that you're having negative reactions to coffee and caffeine, I encourage you to look into more about like what's up with caffeine and like consider, I know it's already hard enough quitting kratom, but possibly consider, it doesn't have to be forever too, you know, you don't have to quit it forever, but during recovery consider giving it up for a little bit, because it will help with your healing process. And maybe not everybody feels this way, you know, maybe some people have no issues with it, but now that I was chatting with this other person about it, I thought it was a good idea to share this. And our bodies are amazing, you know, machines, basically, amazing, miraculous machines that are designed to heal. And so there may be a point where we will be able, that's a tongue twister, to have coffee again. Come on, let's go this way. And there's a lot of other alternatives that can be used. I quit caffeine cold turkey. It was really rough. You can taper down with like green tea and stuff like that. I use, instead of caffeine now, I use vitamin C. I megadose with liposomal vitamin C every single day still. I started that in kratom recovery and I continue to do that now. And I use vitamin C in different forms through camu powder, which is a berry from Peru and other South American countries. I think it might grow some other places. But you get it in a powder form and you mix it with water. And I use that instead of coffee. I also use citrus fruit, like oranges and lemons and limes. And in place of coffee, I have that. And I've found that vitamin C gives me like such a good boost, and it helps with mental clarity, and there's no crash from it. So I've tried using honey, raw honey mixed with warm water and lemon, and I found that I get a little bit of a crash from the sugar aspect of it, but I don't get that from citrus fruit. So I'd encourage you to try different things for that. But all right, guys, these are my thoughts about coffee and kratom recovery and adrenal fatigue. And if you are experiencing this, or you have any questions, or you want to share what you're going through, please feel free to comment down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.